Life is way too short to focus on all that's wrong with the world. I'm Thomas Roberts.
Oh, we got good news. We got good news, yeah. Gay good news. You don't have to choose the news. Ooh, good news, yeah.
We're here for you. We love you. We see you. We hear you. We know you're there. So thank you for doing this, Thomas.
You know, the very thing that everyone around you is telling you is your liability is your service.
This is Gay Good News. Give me 30 minutes and I'll give you a rainbow.
All right, everybody. We are live in New York City. I thought I'd give you a look outside the window to see exactly what we get to look at here. This is just temporary for right now. A little scene in beautiful New York. It's been a wild week, a really wild week, and I apologize for being a little late today. I started a new job this week on Monday. So I got here to New York last week on Wednesday, and Thursday we did the show. And I'm in an apartment here in New York, and I was trying to keep a secret because I wasn't allowed to say what my new job was because it hadn't been announced just yet. So it was finally announced on Friday. Yes, my tongue's a little red because I've been drinking. It's not even fruit punch, I'm not a meal, so I had to drink Kool-Aid. But I got a new job, and this is the new job. It's to be the host of Season 4 of Daily Mail TV's news and entertainment show. Now, this is a huge brand, it's a global brand, and the show is a co-production between Stage 29 Productions, which is Dr. Phil's production house, based out of Los Angeles, and then the Daily Mail of London. So they have been on the air for roughly 3 seasons. We start season 4. The official launch is the 14th, which is so exciting. And it's nice to be back in New York. It's been a little hectic, as you can imagine, to figure out all of the moving parts that go along with this and moving our lives back. Patrick's watching and he said, "Does anybody know where I am?" Because I have no idea. We've been trying to make all of this work as quickly as possible and get our lives up to speed with both of our careers and the dogs, and moved during a pandemic, which is kind of crazy. But it's been a real adventure and a true blessing, because 2020 has not been the greatest year, and all of you are feeling kind of the same way. And this year, we still have a few months left to turn it around, make it a little better, which I'm very excited to do. But I'm going to have to tweet it later, and Jennifer's going to be mad at me because I wasn't able to ingest the video to show you the studio. I took video to do that, and I didn't get it into the system in time to show you. So don't be mad at me, because it was really cool. I mean, I can show you on my phone, but let's see, just to give you a glimpse. And I feel like I've been so off the radar with my mom and Aunt Pat and my sister and Patrick. There's been hardly any time to call and catch up with anybody. But all right, so here is a little look inside the studio. So this is like back to our Leslie Jordan days of how we do news.
Because I enjoy the order when I come into the studio. I have a lot of stuff. Got a fan, got all kinds of stuff. But the studio's really big. Over here, look at this great branding on the floor.
Let's see.
It's good stuff. Look. All that over there. I'm going to flip this around. Let's see if I can flip it around.
So I'm gonna make you guys ill by watching this, so I'll make sure to get that video up in a little while. But that's just a small glimpse inside, and it's hectic, and there's a lot to learn. It's like being a new kid at school, and it's exciting, and it's really kind of cool to be back in New York. So I appreciate everybody's support. Everybody's been really awesome after the news came out on Friday, and I look forward to kicking off the new season officially September the 14th. Fresh shows start on September the 7th, though, but I'll make sure to add all that information on social and stuff like that. And then people were worried about Gay Good News and whether or not Gay Good News was going to go away. And nope, it's not going to go away. So don't worry. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that it sticks around and that we continue to bring you these excellent, compelling interviews and just have fun in, the way that we have been as we continue to develop and grow, and our commitment to you remains firm. Okay? So don't worry, we're not going anywhere. Last week, on Thursday, though, I had an opportunity to introduce you to Sean T. and his husband, Scott Blocker. Now, they've been married. They'll celebrate their 8th anniversary coming up here in the fall. And Sean T, blasted on the scene, his insanity workout, hip-hop abs, and infomercials late at night, keeping all of us company, and we're all wondering who the heck is that good-looking guy. Scott Blocker got a ring on that, and they are now dads of twin boys, Silas and Sander. Sean T, though, has a really interesting background, as does Scott. We just don't know as much about Scott because Sean T has kind of been at the front of the house for like the last 20 years, making his career known. Scott was a pro soccer player. Now they're in business together. When it comes to fitness and business and branding. And Sean T continues to stay on the scene as fit and as motivated and inspirational as ever, but it's his backstory that really drew me in, that I didn't know about. And it was a great conversation, so we split it up into 2 parts. And these guys are now dads, and they had an epic journey, their entire marriage so far, to become parents. And I just wanted to make sure that you had all the information about their experience, because these guys are willing to share the knowledge, and that's really, really important. Not many people are all the time, so take a listen.
There's nobody like you. There really isn't. I mean, you have made an impression in the world with your career. I think with your honesty, obviously with Scott by your side, your confidence, not that you didn't already have it, has been enhanced, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah. I mean, first of all, he robbed the cradle. He's like so much older than me.
I'm 106 actually.
I think
you look very good, Scott. You look very good.
I married a virgin.
Yes, he does.
I always say that.
I think that you have to know when to really, number one, rely on your spouse, and to know when to let someone else take the lead. And I don't mean that just in sex or like in, paying the bills. I mean, just like literally in your life. Like a lot of times I think we feel like we have the answers. And sometimes, Scott is he's a complete opposite. He's very calm, extremely logical. He takes his time doing everything. And I'm fast. I'm fast. No, I'm fast. I'm like, I'm a mover. I'm a shaker. I'm like, boom. Yep. And so, a lot of times I'm so much more calm now than I was, not because I changed who I am, but because I really opened my mind to the way that he thinks. And even financially, like I was like, yo, I want to buy the shoes or the Louboutins, even though I got some on. And just like a lot of things, you have to like look to your spouse and not think like, oh, they're trying to control my life. But if you actually look at why they live the way they live and how it can contribute to the betterness of you, mm-hmm. I think that that's kind of like what happens with us. I think it works both sides, but from 100%. He really calm. I'm still wild as hell. Like I'm wild. But he's really been able to calm me down in times where I don't have to be wild. Like I conserve a lot of energy because of him.
And with all that though, the reciprocation is happening with me, because I was always like, I used to say when we were first together, I like cruising at 32,000 feet.
Right.
I don't like any of this. He loves roller coasters. And so now I'm embracing that it's okay. It doesn't always have to be like this. And he pushes me outside of my comfort zone, and I hate it. I hate it. But when I'm done at the end of that, I'm like, that wasn't so bad. And I should have done it a long time ago. Right. So that's why I say I live my life in color now, because I'm allowing myself to do things that I would never do because of who he is. And so it's kind of a good mix.
So would you say, opposites attract?
100%.
100%.
Jersey, I'm Seattle. I don't know if he's, I'm white.
I think that there's
he's young, I'm old. Like,
I think that, I don't like generalizing like opposites attract, but I do think that if you find someone where you find enough similarities and big differences, like it really enhances your life because you're constantly on a learning process. I also believe that in relationships, in the beginning, you've heard it, we've heard it. I want to find somebody that's like me. They want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do this. And I'm like, that's really great, but what are they teaching you? I think that's a really good thing to ask when you're out in the dating world and when you're swiping right and left. Like, what am I going to learn from this person? Not what do we have in common? What do we have in common? And what am I going to learn from them? Because I think the most important thing, and you'll know this, because you were together with your husband, how long? Just 11 years?
12 years before we got married.
So I think a lot of people also need to understand how you need to grow individually together. Like we're two different humans. His goals are completely different than my life goals. How can we go along the journey while supporting that? And then it doesn't cause a divide. It really helps us utilize each other's strengths into our lives, and we can just really kind of respect where each other is going.
Now, my sister, who loves Patrick, so Patrick and I celebrate 20 years next month of being together, 8 years married, but she calls him the string to my balloon. So,
wow.
I would float off into the sun and burst, and Patrick, he's might not have gotten off the ground. So we balance each other out,
Cool.
And it's kind of that perfect, alignment of teaching each other and pulling each other along, whether it's, sometimes it's pulling you back, from the edge, and sometimes it's pulling you forward. Those are kind of the best marriages, because they challenge you, the passion's there. But as you were saying, you grow together. Now you brought it. What is the age difference? Is there an age difference even?
It's only 6.5 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nothing. You're no chicken hawk.
Like 21.
He's 21. He's super young. I'm 84.
No, it's all a joke. I never really see him as 6 years old. He has there's nothing about his body that looks, his body looks younger than mine. Just saying.
I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm 30. I just kind of maybe between 30 and 35. When people ask me my age, I'm always like, 40.
He'll be 49 this year.
Yeah,
which is pretty amazing.
I would never guess that in a million years.
That's it.
And especially because you are chasing babies. So let's talk about the babies. Okay, they're Silas and Sander, correct? Yes. And how old are they now?
They are, what's today?
2 3/4 maybe.
Yeah, they'll be 3 years old in 3 months.
Okay, so we're out of describing them in months.
Yeah,
we're like in years, annuals now. Okay, because this wasn't an easy road for you guys. This was these babies were really, really wanted. How tough was that on your relationship to go through the decision process to want to be parents, but then also to deal with the obstacles you guys dealt with?
I think when it comes to the relationship in general, it never took our relationship to a point where we're like, we're not going to be together or anything. But it was definitely tough in terms of we handled the process differently.
Yeah.
So initially, Scott wanted to have kids way more than I did, and which is totally fine. And he wanted 11 kids, which wasn't totally fine. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I have a sister that's 20 years younger than me. My brother had a son in his 20s. And my mom had a daycare center. So I knew children, and I was like, there's no way. And so anyway, so just the decision to have one, it was pretty easy, but I was like, we're not having 11. But having the children was a very long, stressful, I mean, I'm surprised I didn't have more gray hair back then, process.
I think I always go to comedy to lighten moments, right? I think for me, the essence of what happened was the very first meeting in January of 2013. We were meeting with our fertility doctor who's going to help us, start the process. And we're like, this is what we want to do. And this is how we're going to do it. And, it's going to happen. And he says at the end of the meeting, he's like, I just want to let you guys know that this may not happen or play out the way you think it's going to happen. And I instantly think, this guy's fucking crazy. Like, no way. Like, we are two healthy people. We've had our sperm tested. We're going to find someone amazing. It's just not going to, maybe 2 times we'll try, maybe 3 times, but it's not going to happen to us. And then after the first try and the second try and the third try and the 5th try and the 7th try and the 10th try and a new doctor and 4 surrogates later, 5 surrogates later, 6 egg donors later, it's like, what? Like, this is authentically happening to us.
Yeah.
And to me, it wasn't a matter of like, we're going to do this. But even towards the end, like that last try, I don't know if we would have done it another try. Well, maybe with Ashley, because she was brand new, and it was our first try. Though. Yeah, our first try with our last surrogate, it worked. We might have tried 1 or 2 other times with her, but if that didn't work, I think we might have been done.
I mean, it was so expensive too.
Well, I was going to say, if you don't mind, because most of us got into this world because of a 6-pack and a flatbed. How much did it cost?
It was over $500,000.
Yeah. Wow.
It took, I mean, if we would have did in the first try, it would have been like 80.
Yeah.
It would have been like maybe less, a little less than 80,000. But
and it gets incrementally smaller every try you do, but then you have to get more eggs, and then you have to get more transfers, and
there's the traveling, there's like you have to travel, the doctor visits, the tests that you have to get every single time.
The surrogate doesn't always
the transfer,
where the doctor lives.
Yeah, the flights, and then we're visiting the surrogates. It is if you get somebody that wants to have a baby for you and can do it with a contract without a big fee, and you get an egg donor on the first try, you could probably spend less than 30 grand, but or less even.
You got to be prepared for what may happen in the instance of your example. And while we're talking about like the financials and what the numbers on paper or this many trips and all that, I mean, your heart, your emotions, for you guys, that had to be, hell to go through that.
Yeah, I think that we, again, back to us being opposites, we had to split kind of like our roles in this situation. I actually I actually had the relationships with our surrogates, because, I'm like, they're having our kids. Like, but I want to love on these people and support them and
get to know them,
almost replace their husband. I want to be that person when they're going through it. And he was more of the
contracts,
business
money,
guy.
Business. Yeah.
But then with us, there's still the underlying love for the people, the egg donor who we never met, the surrogate for each other, our kids. So it's a monster of a.
He would go on. So every time we would get a surrogate, it would be like speed dating, or not. We'd try and figure out, and then we'd get a surrogate, and it's boom, like we are diving both feet in to this relationship because we got to get to know them, and they're opening their life, their body to us. And then after a couple tries, it doesn't work, and we have to move on, because the goal going in is to have a child. And breaking up, he was always the one that was in the emotional side of this and was really connecting with the surrogate and their families. And then breaking up, it would be devastating for him, because that's who he is. And then we'd move on to someone else, and then we'd have to break up with them, and we'd move on to someone else, have to break up with them, and again, and then we had to break up with our doctor.
And when we say break up, it's just telling them that we want to have to find another egg donor to have our kids. We have
Another surrogate.
Sorry, and egg donor.
And egg donor. Yeah.
But we still communicate with the families of everyone that has helped us out. That was like important for me. We could have had 20. I'd have been like, can we just have a family reunion?
But I mean, if you started this in January of 2013, that means you guys got married, you maybe went on a honeymoon at the end of 2012, and then got to work building a family and spending the next 5 years of your life trying to make that happen. When the boys came into your lives, was it what you expected it to be? You know what I mean? In becoming parents, that moment, and then the reality sets in, was it everything you wanted it to be?
The moment was incredible. Like it was really wild because our surrogate actually had the boys early. So we were actually about to go on a baby moon. We were going to spend 6 weeks not working, just like living, traveling. We had friends that had like set up their home to pamper us for like the next 6 weeks or whatever. And then the day before we were supposed to leave on our vacation, the boys came. So it just kind of threw not a wrench into it, but it changed. We actually saw our boys born over FaceTime, waiting in the airport to fly to Dallas. It was wild.
Yeah.
So, and our surrogate's husband was like filming everything. I actually have a TikTok. We have a documentary on my IGTV, and we also have a TikTok, and I think it's on my Instagram, where it kind of shows a little bit of the process.
So you guys are where? You're in Seattle?
Phoenix. We live in Phoenix.
In Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in Phoenix, and your surrogate was in Texas?
Yeah.
Fort Worth.
All right. And so you're about to go on vacation, but then things get ramped up. So were you then trying to catch a flight to get to Texas as soon as you can?
Yeah, because she called. I was actually taking a nap, and she was like, this baby is coming. And these babies are coming. Whatever. She probably said this baby. She was so out of it. She probably thought she was having more.
Yeah.
But and then Scott was driving, and I was like, I'm not going to call him while he's driving. But the minute he walked in the house, I was like, we need to get to Texas ASAP. So this was at like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
He booked flights. His parents lived next door to us. So we all like packed one suitcase, well, that's a whole nother story. His dad did the most. But we got to the airport, and when we got through security, Ashley's husband FaceTime, he was like, they're coming now. And so we all sat on the bench and we watched and it's almost like, while I wish I was there, I'm glad it didn't play out any other way, because it was what was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And Ashley's mom was there and her husband was there. And usually when you have a kid via surrogacy like that, no one else is allowed in the room. It's just the intended parents. And so it was kind of incredible that her husband was there to see our kids born, and he wasn't waiting in the hallway.
Yeah.
And then we came in, so it was cool like that. But so we got there, we got to rent a car, we rushed to the hospital. We actually stopped to see Ashley first. As bad as we wanted to meet our kids, I think it was important for us to say, thank you.
How are you?
Because she is not allowed to see the kids. She's not allowed to hold them as a surrogate, right? So that's, so we wanted to make sure she was fine, because that could be like pretty emotionally draining.
Yeah.
You gave birth. She had a C-section.
And then they're 8.5 weeks early?
They were 7.5 weeks
So they were in the
early.
NICU also.
So we stopped and see her. We walk in, and it was really an amazing moment of seeing them.
And then, so we say, Ashley, we'll be right back. We're going to go look at the kids.
Right.
We walk into the NICU, and we see these 2 tiny babies in these incubators, and these 2 nurses who had bright smiles on their faces saying, let me introduce you. I'm going to start crying. Let me introduce you to your boys. And it just was amazing to be with him, and to see them, and to be able to touch them. And it was crazy.
I'll bet. I mean, and did you know ahead of time? Like, did you know the sex of the babies, or were you surprised?
No, we knew. We knew.
No. Okay.
before.
So, so baby names, did you have baby names picked out or did you wait till you met them?
We had a list of baby names, and on the sent from Phoenix to Dallas, we said, "Oh,
we had
snap."
Ashley's husband sent us photos of the boys. We were like, take a photo, and we were looking at them, and that's when
We said,
But we
should-
had like 12 or 13 names like previously chosen, but we were like, we're gonna give them the name that fits them best.
Yeah, and so we named them on landing in Dallas.
And now did the names Silas and Sandra, did they have family meaning or connection, or are they just names that you guys loved?
So we realized we used to call ourselves SB2 because we're both Sean Scott, and now he's blocker and I'm blocker, so we're SB2. And we thought it would be really cool to be SB4. So we thought of, at first we just thought of names we liked, and then we discovered that we wanted them to be S names. And so, you know, we'd be on road trips for work and we're like, let's look for names. And so he's driving. I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is this? No, 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 yes. And so Sandra and Silas,
I really wanted one to be named Sean.
Yeah.
Just saying, but I got turned down.
Well, well, what about, are there more kids in the future?
No, there will be no more Sean Blockers. I'm going to stay the only one.
Ever.
All right, so you got two and done. But
And we have them by mistake, so that's an amazing thing.
how has it impacted the dynamic of your relationship? You know, because, you know, becoming parents, it's a lot of work, right? I know, Scott, your parents are next door, so they get called on to help. But still, I mean, this is, there's no guidebook, no handbook that comes along. You know, how tough is this?
So I was completely, I thought I knew what I was going to experience, and I was not the least bit prepared. I loved kids, and I thought I knew what was going to happen. I thought these kids are going to be amazing, and it'll be easy breezy because we're good people. We're going to be good parents. And it was not. It was hell for the first 4 months. You know, we wanted to try and do it ourselves, and we did the best we could, and we had my parents help out.
He wanted to try and do it ourselves.
I can own that 100%. And, you know, because what I remember is my mom taking care of my brother and me, and my dad was around, but he was working and stuff. So I thought I would be that person. And that we learned very quickly was not going to work. And we were lucky enough to find people to be able to help us. And it completely changed the dynamic of our relationship. But we learned to work through it and talk about it. And one of the moments of my life, I remember two parts of having kids. One was getting in so much lack of sleep that we got into a lot of fights. And I remember just thinking to myself, oh my God, I've ruined our relationship because I wanted us to have kids and he wanted to have kids, but I was really pushing for it. And then the second part of when, like in around month 4, when we first got sitters to watch our boys, he said, we're going on a date night. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, we can't leave the kids, whatever. And he's like, we're going, it's not a choice, whatever. And I just remember putting on clothes in our closet and thinking to myself, wow, this is amazing. And getting to the restaurant and having a drink. And I was like, oh, well, who are you? Like, it was like, this is incredible. Like, we should do more of that. And that was the beginning of us understanding that we needed to focus on us before we could focus on the kids.
Isn't that an amazing story? They are such nice guys. Let me make sure that there is no echoing going on, because I know, hopefully that's better. There was a mention of an echo in our intro, so I apologize for that. But they have so much knowledge that they shared with all of us, and such a great story, and they are funny. I mean, they are funny to watch. They're like the Odd Couple. They kind of josh around with each other and joke, and I think it's funny when Sean leans into the camera and he's like, I want to name one of them Sean. They're trying to come up with an S name. But the babies are adorable, and if you don't already, go follow them on TikTok or Instagram, their YouTube channel. They are really a joy to watch, and they're so funny, so real, so authentic. So check them out. All right, well, I am going to say goodbye for now. I've got a lot to do. I got to move. I got to figure out where we're going to live. Got a lot going on here. But do not forget to go find us on YouTube, like us here, subscribe, tell your friends about it, find us on Instagram, and just don't forget about me. All right? Thanks. Bye.